Youth with a Mission came to Uganda in 1986, and of course the 80s were difficult years for Uganda. But into the 90s came HIV/AIDS, and so YWAM Torch came together to be a response to HIV/AIDS. At that point, there was statistics that said 1 in 3 adults was HIV positive. And that is a huge burden for any nation, but particularly a developing nation. And so we were focused in these villages, which was 37 villages, around 37,000 people. We worked there for years doing prevention of HIV/AIDS, care of people infected with HIV/AIDS. We worked like that for years across the year 2000 and beyond. And within that, of course, the work did change and develop. We moved from more about infection and care into orphan care. And by this point, we had started renting a house in Jinja Town. And we were renting that because that put us nearer the villages we were focused on. It was a strategic place. But we'd always intended to build a base in these villages. But around the year 2015, 2014, we realized it wasn't that we'd lost vision, but somehow the vision had got diluted. And this plan to have a base in the village wasn't coming together. And so we had a season of prayer on what is God saying, what are our way forward, what are our strategies. And in that season, we received something new, something surprising. The first thing was we felt that we needed to buy a building, and that building was not just to be where we lived, it was to be where we were. Because previously we were renting in Jinja, but our heart and our work was outside of Jinja. It was just a place to sleep, a place to have the office. It wasn't where we were ministering. It wasn't really ours. And so we started a big journey to own our own property, and we called this journey Time to Own. So that's where we were. We were fundraising. We knew it was time to own property, time to own the city. And God helped us, and YWAM helped us, and our friends helped us, and people we didn't know helped us, and we were able to buy the building. So that bit, time to own property, tick. We come to time to own the city. And we began, we took some small steps, but it wasn't really flowing very fast. But the idea was there. It just wasn't really clear. How? What are the steps? But of course, then came COVID. And we had 2 years of heavy lockdowns when we were enjoying our building that we owned, and we weren't paying rent, but owning the city didn't move very much. We were doing some food distribution, but we were locked down, serious lockdowns.
When we managed to fundraise and get the money, it was something that blew me, and because I was always scared of the figure, because it looked to be a big mountain for us as a base, because we are always struggling even to pay the rent, but we are looking for money which was $1 billion shilling, over $1 billion shilling. So it was always a challenge for me. Although I had faith, I believed that God was going to perform this miracle, but when it happened, it left something in my heart, because we got all the donation from people that we didn't know, and the money came from all over the whole world. And I kept on asking God, why do you really give us this building and all this money? Is it only for Uganda, or there is something beyond that? In January 2022, God spoke clearly to me that it was time to own cities global. It's time to own cities global. And I looked at and I said, God, am I really hearing you well? And he said, yes, it's time to own cities global. So it came like a conversation, like me asking God and God answering straight away. And I said, God, we are a small base. Yeah, you know, even some of our staff, they are at almost the retiring age. How are we going to manage this? And God spoke to me and said, the whole world is what it is because of the 12 disciples. And I realized God wanted us to start training. And I was asking God, how are we going to do it? And said, you read the YWAM, you know, we have a model which is our DTS. And I said, how is this DTS going to look like? And God spoke to me and said, you know, the DTS should have a special focus, which is focusing on cities. That's what I want you to run. And I said, you know, like, how is this going to happen still? I don't want to take students where we have never been. So we decided to, with 7 staff, we decided to do a drive to 9 cities to see how does city life move, and also like to pray and to have a 24/7, like trying to spy out the land, but also to pray and intercede for that city. And that was achieved. In January 2023, we pioneered our first DTS, which is focusing on reaching out to cities, with 6 students, and we went to 5 cities to do our outreach and 2 towns. We were amazed with what God did in those towns. Over 250 people that we managed to register accepted Christ. We did ministry in school, we did prayer walks in those cities, and it was amazing that how God led us. And in that, the vision has become very clear that we have to really intercede for the cities, and the vision is to bring healing and restoration into cities global. But at the moment, we want to focus on the cities in Uganda, then we got the cities in Africa, and then we got the cities all over the entire world.
So the vision is time to own cities. We start with our own city of Jinja, but that's not where we're ending. The aim is to ripple out from Jinja to Uganda, beyond Uganda. So, what are our strategies? Well, we're pioneering, we're beginning, we're not saying we've got it all worked out, but we have a place to start. The DTS. DTS focused on cities, talking about cities, going to cities, but after the DTS we also offer an internship, 2 to 3 months, where the students can remain, and we give more focused training and exposure into urban missions and what it is to work in cities. So that is a very big part, because we need to train others, and some of those may remain with us, but I think many we will release to go back to where they came from or to go somewhere new. So we're training and releasing or sending. Now meanwhile, we want to do focused outreaches, something like 2 weeks, 10 days, going to specific cities, praying, prayer walking, understanding more about that city, what God is saying, relating to the church, trying to envision the church, getting the church on board. So those are the things we're doing generally. And then in Ginger, our home city, we picked 3 things that we want to focus on as ministry, as we are beginning. The prison, we've adopted a prison. Schools, we want to work in schools. Uganda has a very young population. We need to reach our young people. And then informal settlements, what you might call a slum. There are areas around Ginger or in Ginger where people are really struggling and where the issues are heavy. So that's what we're beginning with. We are welcoming new staff. We welcome teams, short-term staff, long-term staff. If we're really to see this impact, we need to have more people involved. And of course, we're welcoming people, students for our DTS.